Hello, yeah, and it's Dax, so I'll be taking my camera off. Sorry. Right, so yeah, hello once again, welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at visualizations, simple visualizations in Power BI. As we are beginning or we are starting our Power BI visualization series, right? And so it's important to know what visualizations are and what visualizations will be most of the times used, okay, in your day-to-day activities. As time goes on, you'll be privy to a lot more of the visualization charts, all right, but I'm just taking you through the basics, and then as time goes on you can then build on that, all right. And so yeah, without much ado, let's jump right in. So what is visualization in Power BI? All right, so visualizations are simply, so I'll be explaining everything in my own terms, in the simpler terms, not what we have on the internet or what you have online, all right. Those can be cumbersome, so I'll be breaking them down, all right. So visualizations are simply the charts over here, okay, the charts that we have over here, right over here, and they are used to tell a story, or to they are used for storytelling, all right, in simple form or in essence. So when I say storytelling, what I'm simply trying to say is that each and every visualization that you use should be able to tell a particular story, all right. Now this is important because you don't want your visualizations to confuse your viewers or the people that you're trying to communicate to, all right. Whatever visualization that you use or you take should communicate a point. And so one thing I've seen a lot of the times is that I'll see people using the map chart for something that is totally different from its purpose, or they are using the bar charts and the clustered bar charts to be showing things that in a normal circumstance you should be using the map chart to show, all right. And that's totally wrong, okay. Each and every visualization over here has its own purpose, all right, has its meaning and what you're supposed to use them for. I didn't know for that, we would have just had one visualization over here. All right. So the fact that there are so many of them here means that they all have their purposes, and so it's imperative or it's important that we do our research on them or practice with them to know as and when to use any one of them. Okay. So yes, that is what we should keep in mind. All right. Because something like a chart like line chart shouldn't be used the same way as you would for the bar chart. All right. Or sometimes you will see things like let me, I don't know if I have product ID. So items as much as this, all right, items as much as this. And then sometimes you have people use the pie chart or the donut chart to illustrate things like this, and then it's like this. Now this is totally wrong, all right. This is totally wrong. This defeats the purpose of what the donut chart is supposed to be used for, or what the pie chart is supposed to be used for, all right. And that's why it's important that I make this video before we delve into, we start building our dashboards or we start doing our projects, to avoid issues like this, all right. So I'll be diving into the ones that I mostly use, and yeah, the ones I mostly use. I'm not very good with all of them, and that is fine. Yeah, that is why we are still learning. We are still on the learning journey, so that is fine. All right. So yeah, so we start with the stack bar chart. Now, before I begin, I want to see some of them will work in similar functions. All right, they are just some slight differences, but normally work in the same light. All right. So the stack bar chart, the clustered bar chart, and the 100% stack bar chart are going to work in similar functions. All right, they are going to work probably the same way. All right, so what do they do? All right, so the first we are looking at is the stack bar chart. All right, now the stack bar chart, the clustered bar chart, and then the 100% stack bar chart are used to compare items. All right, they are used to compare items. So comparison of products, comparison of or how each salesperson performed, things like that. So they are used to compare two or more items, two or more names, and things like product name, customer name, and things like that. We use these particular items, and it shows or it visualizes the results in horizontal format. So you can see them like that. All right, you can see that they are in that F kind of thing. All right, and they are all pointing to the right. Okay, so let me put something in there. Then let me use product name. All right, so this is how they work. Okay, is this horizontal or vertical? I'm not entirely sure, but they all work in similar functions. You see them pointing to this way, unlike these ones. Uh, unlike these ones. So this is the exact opposite of the first one that we are talking about. All right. So you see how this is shown. They are just the opposite of how these ones are shown, but they all work the same way. Okay, they are used to compare items. All right. So I'm comparing this item to this item. All right, and then to this item to this item to know which one is performing, which one has brought in the most revenue, the most cost, what have you. So we are comparing them to see, so that based on that we can make a decision. And so this is how the these ones, the stack bar chart, the classic bar chart, and then the 100% stack. But now the difference between them and this is that this one will also show you, see, when you look at this only showing you the sum of units sold. However, this one in particular, the 100% stack bar chart, will not just show you that, but also give you the percentage. All right, so this is 100%. The amount is 100% for measure tape. Now the reason I'm showing this is because let's assume I add another thing like other ID. All right, now I'm going to say that I'm going to change from 100% to 98.01%, and then give the other 1.99% exactly to the count of other ID. So we can put two items, we can two results on this particular chart, and it's going to show us the percentage difference. All right, in addition to the total difference. Okay, so that's just the only difference. Aside that, they all work in similar functions. All right, they point horizontally, and this one also works the same way. Yeah, this one will rather break them down. See, when you look at this, you can see this has everything on one bar. All right, that's everything lined up on one bar. This also has everything on one bar, but this there are two things we are looking at. We are looking at the sum of units sold and the count of other ID, but they are both on one bar. But this one breaks them down. It shows you the sum of units sold on one bar, and it shows you the count of other ID on another bar, but all relating to one particular item, all right, or one particular product. Okay, so that is how these ones they work. So normally I use them to just compare. Yeah, I use them as comparisons. Okay, especially if there are so many items. So there are items more than eight. Normally items more than five, I just go for these ones or these ones. All right, like I said, this is just an exact opposite of this. Okay, so as you have this here, this one also we have this the stack column chart. A similar one is this. All right, and then this. Okay, they are just there. So this is similar to this right here is similar to this one. All right, so you can see they are just similar. So this one doesn't have the other IDs. So if I add it, now you can see the other IDs that are here are the ones on top here. All right, and if I change this and I use this, and I change this and I use this, now you can see they are they are actually the same. Just the positions are different. All right, but they exactly perform the same thing. They are both used for comparison. And likewise, this particular one, and then this one right over here are also the same thing. All right, so these top ones over here are all used to compare, but one compares horizontally, one compares vertically. All right, so if you have normally if I have enough space in my report view and I need to go for this, I go for this. But if I do not have enough space on my report view, I normally go for this. I normally go for this because with this I can just close it like this, all right, like so, and I just stretch it a little bit. But this, if I try closing this, it's going to make my data set, look a certain way. All right, so if I have enough space, if I have enough space, I can just go with this. If I don't, normally I just go with this because this one I can even type a little bit more, and then I just have to increase the length. All right, so that's how I use these two visualizations in Power BI. All right, now let's move on to the next one, which is the line chart. Now, the line chart, the area chart, and this stack area chart, and also this one, they also work in similar functions. All right, they work the same way. So, line chart, line, all right. So, right. So this is line chart. All right. Now this line chart, and then this area chart. This is stack area chart. So I'm just showing you so that you know. All right. And then it's 100% stack area chart. So this one similar to this ones will also give you the percentage. All right. And that's the percentage, and that's the only difference. All right. Now the line chart, area chart, stacked area chart, and all of these things, they help you to see the trend of things. All right. So they are used to show the trends. Okay, so whenever I'm working with Power BI and I have my dates and I need to visualize my dates and my time and all of those stuff, what I use, I either use the line chart, the normal line chart, the area chart, because these charts are used to show trend of things. So from this particular time to this particular time, this is how we performed. From this particular time to this particular time, this is how performance went. All right, so they are used to show the trend of things. So you don't use line chart to show things like how do you call them, product name, total product name. You can't, you can't, it's improper. All right, it's not proper to use line chart to show things like this. Sometimes you see people using line chart to show things like this, total unit sold by product name, and they're using line chart. It's totally wrong. You don't use line chart to show things like this. All right, you don't do that. You use line chart to show trend of things. All right, use the line chart to show trends. All right, so how trend is, so your months, your years, your weekdays, and maybe your time, you use the line chart to show them. All right, use a line chart, or you can use the area chart, or you can use a stacked area chart, or you can use this one to show. It's totally fine. But normally I just base my workings on line chart, area, and this when I'm dealing with trends. All right, when I'm dealing with trends, I just base it on this three. I normally don't use the 100%. In fact, the 100% stacked columns, I generally do not use them. All right, I just use the other ones. Okay, so this is how to use the line chart. All right, and these are the line charts. They're used for trends. These ones are used for comparison or comparing items that are mostly more than four. All right, this and this. If you are comparing items side by side and the items are more than four, normally I just go with this one or this one, depending on the size or the space that I have left. And this one I use them for trends. All right. And now let's move on to this and this. Now this and this are the same thing. So this is the line and stacked column chart, and this is the line and clustered column chart. Now I'm spelling this out because I need you to take I need you to keep something in mind. It says line and stacked column chart, line and stacked column chart, and this is a line and clustered column chart. All right, that means we are adding two particular visualizations as one, the line and a clustered column chart, all right, or a stacked column chart. All right, so let me show you how this works. Now normally with this it means we have an item but we are looking for two results on that particular item. And an example could be maybe we have a product name like SAV or Toyota Camry. All right, so we have a Toyota Camry and I want to find the total revenue, and I also want to find the quantity that I bought. All right, and so maybe if I have 4, 5, 6 Toyota Camrys, or 4, 5, 6 different types of cars, now I want to see the amount they cost and how many I actually have in my garage. All right, and so I can use, because there are two things I'm looking for, I can use a combo. This is sometimes known as the combo chart. All right, so I can use the combo chart for it. All right, so in this case I'll just say this, and let's just say now I'm looking for customer name. All right, but this customer name, I'm looking for the unit sold and I'm looking for the order ID. All right, now in a normal circumstance you've used this, but you are getting this, and this isn't how you use this particular visualization or this particular chart. That is why it was important for me to let you know that it's called the line and start column chart. It's called the line and chart. And so when you come right here, you have the customer, and then you have column y axis, which is this, but one of them shouldn't be here. One of them should actually be on the line y axis because it's a line. All right, so when you put this right here, now you see it is changed. So this is how we use this particular visualization, so that when I come here I say grass knuckles, the unit sold is 1888. However, the count of order ID. Now this is just an assumption. We are just using a data set to show something. So when you see the count of order ID, don't get confused. So the count of order ID for grass knuckles is 20, but the sum of units sold is 1088, and it's showing a trend that, all right, so it was 20 here, but then it rose for Jackie Chan. It was at a height of 22 for the count of other ID. That means Jackie Chan's count of other ID was more than it was for grass knuckles. And then when you come to think analyst, it actually came down to 16. All right, and then it continued like that till 16 again for City Man of Legends. All right, so this is how you normally use this kind of visualization. All right, this is how you use the visualization. You use it to show two results on a particular item. All right, you use it to show two results on a particular item. So this is how it is, and it's just similar to this line and clustered column chart as well. You are going to find the same thing. All right, so this is how you use it. Okay, now let's move on from this, and then let's move to, so this one's normally I just don't, the ribbon chart I normally don't use it. This a waterfall I use it occasionally, and it just used to show an increase or decrease in trends. Right, it used to show an increase or decrease in trends, so that when there's an increase, you are going to see it as green, and when there's a decrease, it's going to be shown as red. All right, maybe I'll talk about it some other time, but not in this video. And then funnel and scatter plot, I don't normally use this as well. So let's move on to pie chart and then the donut chart. Now the pie chart and the donut chart, normally I use it to compare about 2 or 3 items. Okay, so I use the pie chart and the donut chart to compare 2 or 3 items. So when the items are not more than 3, or normally they are not more than 4, like I explained with this, the items are not more than 4, I just use the pie chart or the donut chart to explain that. And so a similar example could be if you are in the unit sold and then the customer, so there are 4 customers. So in this scenario, I can just use the donut chart to illustrate this or to show this, all right, because the items are not that many, all right, they are just 4. Okay, so it's easier to use the donut chart to illustrate this, so that I can see that, okay, so grass knuckles has the highest units sold, and then it comes to Jackie Chan's items, and then it moves on to think analyst measure, and then finally to sitting man of legends. All right, so items that are not more than 4, you can use the donut chart or the pie chart. If it's more than 4, it's not advisable to use the donut chart or the pie chart. All right, then you can go and then use the bar chart, all right, or the column chart for that. Okay, and so here you can either use the donut chart or you can use the pie chart. All right, so they work in similar functions. All right, so this is a pie chart. All right, this is a pie chart, and this is a donut chart. They are all used to compare items on a smaller scale. Okay, so that's that for that. And then we have the map, the maps. All right, we have the fold map and the map. So these are used to show normally we use the fold maps to illustrate country details, city details, state details, location details. All right, and so if there's a particular location, if your data set contains locations, places, right, if it contains places, contains locations, cities, states, towns, all right, wait, things like that. Normally, you just use the map chart, the fold map chart or the map chart to illustrate this by saying that, okay, so this particular city, this particular state that we have here, we have it in the map chart, and there are details attached, showing that maybe in this particular area, we made this amount of sales, we made this profit, and so we can use that to illustrate that. All right. So when it comes to locations, normally again you don't use pie charts to show locations. All right. So I don't have location here. Let me save this. Let me see if this will work. No, work. My data is off. All right. So normally with things like location, states, and like I said, we use a map chart or the chart to illustrate this. All right. To we use it to show the details. All right, of our locations. All right. And then now we move on to the cards. So when it comes to the cards, we have the old card type and we have the new card type. Now, don't get it twisted. They are both the same. They are one and the same. All right. They are one and the same. So what a card does, okay, or what the card is used for, in my experience, is just to show you um is it KPIs? Let me just say KPIs. All right. So they are used to show numeric results. Let me put it that way. They are used to show numeric results. Now, when I say numeric results, what am I driving at? So what I'm simply saying is that imagine I have a data set and I need to find the total revenue, the total price, the average revenue, average price, minimum price, maximum salary, all right, average total revenue, or I need to find the count of total transactions, right? Something like that. Something that anyone can just see and then go like, oh, okay, so this is actually the total revenue for this particular period, or the total transactions that we have is this, or I want to see, or your manager comes and tells you that, you know what, I want to know which employee we are paying the highest salary to, or what is the highest salary that we are paying in this particular department, or the highest salary we are paying to in this particular country. All right, so you just do your max salary, max salary, and then you show that as a card. Okay, so what I mean by is that maybe this is a total, we want to see the total units sold. So this is going to show you the sum of units sold. All right, this is going to show you the sum of units sold. So you're going to see the total units sold over this. So anyone that takes the data set or the visualization report can just look and say, okay, so this is our total units sold. All right, and in the same way, anyone that takes it can also say, all right, so this is our total order ID count. So the total ID count is 74. That means the total transactions is 74. Okay, so you use a card to illustrate this. You don't use any other thing to illustrate this. Even if you try to use this to illustrate this, you realize that it's not working, or to give you something like this. All right, to give you something like this doesn't make any sense. Okay, or you want to find the order ID and you use something like this. You realize that doesn't make any sense. All right, and so in instances like this, we use a card, because if you use a card, it makes so much sense. All right, it gives you a count of order ID, gives you sum of units sold 4K. So anyone that takes the data set is able to tell. All right, so we are moving on to the last one, which is slices. So this is also the new slicer, and then this is the old slicer. And so the slices also work in similar functions. All right, where we have the old and the new slices as similar to the cars. All right, there are just some small similar differences, but they work in most cases the same way. Now, when we say slicer, what is a slicer? Now, don't get it twisted, don't get it confused. Slices is simply filtering. All right, the slices simply give you the ability to filter. That's what a slicer is about. They give you the ability to filter. And so, for instance, we have this is sum of units sold 4K, count of order ID 74. So this is the total for the entire duration. All right, but then I just want to know the sum of units sold by one particular customer. Okay, so I just want to know the sum of units sold by one particular customer. Let's say grass knuckles. Okay, so the slider will give you the opportunity to just select, and then to tell you that, okay, so for grass knuckles channel, the sum of units sold by him was just 1K, and the count of order ID is just 20. All right, and if you don't want for grass knuckles, and you want for a different person like CTN, it will also fill, because it's a filtering chart. All right, it's used for filtering, so it just helps you to filter, and then you can select as many as you want depending on the work that you are doing. So this is one, and then I can just, like I said, they work in similar functions. So I can just say, all right, so I also need the product name, and then I put that as well here. All right, so that now I can say that, okay, you know what, I want think analyst Meshach, and I also want the product name for him to be Flexi. All right, and so you can do the filtering, and then so you use for filtering, you can get as many as you want. So this is just a slight something on visualization. Forgive me for the kind of energy today. I'm not really feeling so well, so my energy is down, but I do hope this video was helpful and you enjoyed it anyhow it is. And I'm pretty sure if there are any questions, you are going to leave them in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. All right.